We all have questions, and Pastor Carney has answers. We all want to know what he thinks. There's important information to know. What are his thoughts? How did he get here? What's his favorite golf ball? It's time for 3 Questions with Pastor Carney.
Billy is in front of the camera. Phil is still taking care of some family things. And so Billy is sticking around and helping us, helping me by asking me 3 hopefully easy questions. But
well, we'll see how easy they are.
Yeah, we'll see how easy this is. So I'm not sure if I'm ready, Billy, but hit
Question
me with
number
it.
1.
Number 1. In my time as a pastor, have I witnessed any miracles?
I don't know why I restricted it at that time frame, but I did.
I would say yes, of course I have.
Okay.
Have I witnessed is yes. Do I know of any? Yes.
Okay.
And I'll share that in a moment. I have saw one and a couple,
Okay.
which also miracles and healing kind of go together
Right.
in this situation. My grandson Owen, as you know, I call him a walking miracle, and he was healed,
absolutely,
or
yes.
he is being healed, and a walking miracle. But me too. Am a walking miracle because for all practical purposes, if that's the right phrase, when I was 42, I should have been up in glory. And so many things happened, which you might not know all this, but you will now. When I was 42, I had 2 heart attacks. Well, they call them heart episodes. It landed me in cardiac rehab, so...
You had them on a television.
Call them what you may.
Yeah.
I had 2 of those. I had a bleeding disorder that drew my counts way down to almost 0. And the doctor said, not many people have come back with this kind of a count. And then, as many people know, I had cancer.
Right.
And so, God be praised. Luke 1:37, semicolon 37.
There you go.
I've been healed. I'm a walking miracle. So yes, I have seen a miracle in myself and my grandson. I've also seen an angel in worship, and that's a different story for a different question on a different day.
That might be a podcast.
That might be a podcast.
Topic. Yeah.
But my wife, my sweetness, Donna, has experienced a miracle.
Okay.
Now, she can tell you the story when you see my sweetness, Donna. When we were in Long Island, or on Long Island, I should say, she was coming home from, I forget where she was coming home from, and it was at night, and she was coming up to a light, which was green for her, okay? And all of a sudden, as she was getting near the light, her foot, mind you, was on the gas, coming up to the light, green light, the car just suddenly stops. Her foot's on the gas, suddenly stops.
Wow.
And don't know why. At that moment, a car from her left came flying through a red light. And if she didn't stop, it would have T-boned her and driver's side, and who knows what would have happened. But Donna said, I did not stop that car.
Wow.
That's a miracle.
That is?
So, yeah. So I've heard of one with my wife, and I've seen him with me and my grandson. So,
All right.
yeah. So there you go.
All of them very personal.
Yeah. So as Donna would say, there you go. Let me do a little explainer, I guess is the right word. We in the church, one of our downsides is that we tend to use acronyms a lot.
Yeah.
And outside the church, people kind of go, LCMS, as many of you know, stands for Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, that we're a member of.
Right.
The ELCA is the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. Now, a little backstory on that. When I was growing up, I was LCA, Lutheran Church of America. Now, there are 4 groups that combined the LCA, Lutheran Church in America, the ALC, the American Lutheran Church, the AELC, the American Evangelical Lutheran Church, and I'm forgetting one more, but they combined forces and they became the ELCA, the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America. Now, as you heard, I grew up LCA, Lutheran Church in America. Right. And my home church was Christ Lutheran Church in Islip Terrace on Long Island. And I grew up, I was confirmed in that church. And after my high school, I went to college, and I was still LCA. Mm-hmm. And then God, as you heard last week, hit me in the pulpit, and mm-hmm. I decided to go to seminary with God's call. And being LCA, I went to an LCA seminary in Philadelphia, Mount Airy, Pennsylvania. And so for 2 years, I was there. And Donna, I met Donna at this time. We were dating. And I believe we were engaged. Yes, we were engaged at the time. And
you want to make sure you get this right.
Yes, we were engaged because we got engaged in 1980, and I was already in seminary. Okay. 81, we got engaged, sorry, and I was already in seminary. And so something happened in my spring semester at the seminary. The dean called me in and said, "We don't think that you're fit to be a pastor." Oh. And I went, wow. And my dreams just got crushed.
Yeah, that's heavy.
Thinking, yeah, it's heavy stuff. And I just was, wow. And I went home, and then somehow I got up to Niagara Falls or North Tonawanda, where Donna's from. And I was telling Donna and her mother and her family about what happened at the seminary. And her mother, God bless her, God bless your mom, said, "There's a new seminary up in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. Why don't you go check it out?" It was LCMS seminary. And I said, okay. And this I'll never forget, that Donna's father took off from work that day. Now, Donna's father is a lot like me. He's a workaholic. Okay. Never took off. He was deathly sick. He'd still go to work. He took off from work.
Wow.
And he drove me to the seminary.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
I'll never forget what he did for me. Yeah. And he sat in the car. And I had a talk with the dean at the seminary. And he said, "By chance, would you have brought anything from that seminary?" For some reason, God be praised, I brought a paper that I wrote. Okay. And I said, "Well, here's a paper that I wrote." And he was reading it, and he says, "Well, I know what they said." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you're at the wrong seminary." He says, "This is Missouri Synod Theology and Doctrine." He said, "You're going to the wrong seminary." Oh. I said, "Well, how do I get at the right seminary?" And he said, "Join up here." And I said, "Fine, where do I sign?" Yeah, where do I sign? And so we got the paperwork done, everything else. I got back out in the car. Dad said, "How'd it go?" I said, "I'm coming here in the fall." Nice. He said, "Wow, I didn't expect that."
Yeah.
And when I got home, Mom said, "How'd it go?" And Dad said, "He's going to seminary in Canada." And just like that, I went from ELCA to Missouri Synod. And that fall, I went to seminary up in St. Catharines, Canada. And it was in the basement of a church. The building wasn't even built yet.
Wow.
And so we were learning in the church. And it was really neat. And I became Missouri Synod. And Donna's parents were extremely happy. And now I had to go an extra year. I did 2 years at the ELCA seminary, mm-hmm. and then 2 years at the seminary in St. Catharines, and then my vicarage. Okay. They would not take my doctrine classes from the ELCA seminary. Sure. Go figure, you know. So I had an extra year, but that's okay. The church didn't go anywhere. And so I had an extra year of seminary, and then my vicarage in deaf ministry. And so, yeah. Now, if you're wondering, did he say Canada?
Yeah.
And LCMS?
He said Canada, yeah.
And there's only 2 seminaries in the U.S., Fort Wayne and St. Louis. Mm-hmm. Yes. But back in the late 80s, the seminary, Concordia Lutheran Seminary in St. Catharines, Ontario, was a Missouri Synod seminary in Canada. And then it got so big that a second seminary opened up in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And they became so big, and Lutheranism, LCMS, became so big in Canada that they came up with their own synod, the Lutheran Church of Canada, the LCC, which is in fellowship with the Missouri Synod. Okay. So if kids want to go to seminary, and they do, up in Canada, they can, and then come back to the States to be a pastor. So back then, there were 4 seminaries, St. Louis, Fort Wayne, St. Catharines, and Edmonton. And right now, there are two Missouri Synod ones, St. Louis, Fort Wayne, and two LCC seminaries, St. Catherine and Edmonton. So yeah, so that's how that went down. Why is the song, "It's the Most Wonderful Time"? You have to divide that into two, Billy.
Okay.
Services.
Let's do it.
Services and then sermons.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is, and please don't take this wrong. And Jesus, please don't take this wrong. But my favorite service, I think you know this, my favorite service is confirmation.
Right. Right.
Confirmation Sunday is my Christmas Eve.
Yes.
I put everything into that service. I put everything in every service, but something about confirmation service has always been my favorite service of the year.
And from working with him for the past year, I can tell you that is absolutely true. He put more effort into the confirmation service than any other service that we've done.
They're my kids.
Yeah.
They're my kids, and the youths, my kids, and all the youths here. You know, I think I'm the only one that calls them youths. And they probably get tired of hearing youths out of me, but the youths are my kids.
Hey, they
too.
started it, so.
They did. They started that. Yeah, so now I call them my youths. I love Confirmation Sunday. So my Christmas Eve is actually Confirmation Sunday. So that's the all-time number one service, Confirmation service. Now, sermons. I would have to say the sermons it's probably a tie. Sermons that I do that are themed based.
Okay.
And then sermons I do that are first person. Now, as you can tell, and this might be a surprise to many of you, I tend to be a little dramatic.
Just a little.
A little.
Yeah.
So I love to do first person sermons, meaning I walk into the pulpit and say, "Good morning, I'm Paul."
Right.
Or, "Good morning, I'm Matthew." Or one time, I think I was Judas. And I think one time, I don't know if I was here or not, but one time I was actually Satan. I don't know if I was here or the church in Arizona. Maybe it was a church in Arizona. I was Satan. So I love doing sermons in first person. I also enjoy doing sermons on a theme. I am enjoying, hopefully you are too, I'm enjoying at the movies.
Yeah.
And everything, I put so much energy into these because I'm relational. And I want people to walk around and see things, hear things, watch things, and say, "Oh, I remember when Pastor took that movie and he preached about that theme, and I get that." Mm-hmm. Or you're in a store, or you hear a song, or hear this, and you relate it to God and relate it to the Bible. That's why the kids' message is awesome. And so at the movies, I'm having so much fun with. And so if you notice, I do a lot of themes, a lot of series.
Okay.
And I do take a break. Mm-hmm. Like in the coming weeks, I'm taking a break because the next series isn't until Advent.
Right.
And then I'll take a break again and do another series. And then next summer, I have one planned already. Thanks to Rachel. And again, I miss you, Rachel. I think I keep saying that. But next summer's sermon series is called Biblical Villains.
Yeah, that's a twist.
Yeah.
Normally we get the biblical heroes.
That's right. Biblical villains. And I'm going to preach on the top 10 biblical villains. And so there's a lot of them. Jezebel is going to be in there. And the reason Jezebel is in there because she is the only one that has a missile named after her.
Yeah.
So a lot of good stuff, but that's coming up. So let's go back to the beginning. The service is confirmation. The sermons would be themed or first person.
Yeah, if you've got questions that you'd like to have answered by Pastor, please make sure that you email us, send us a text, put it in the comment below, and we'll make sure to get your question answered. Thanks again for joining us. If you have any questions about Redeemer, have a topic or interview suggestion, or need to know anything about the church, you can contact the church office at churchoffice@redeemerwarsaw.org, Pastor Carney at pastor_Carney@redeemerwarsaw.org, Phil at phil.prevail@gmail.com, or Billy at rlc_it@redeemerwarsaw.org. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and please join us again next week. And until then, may the Lord be with your spirit, and grace be with you.